Oh, ISB. Oh, what was you? Hello, live chat. Hello, good evening. Welcome. Welcome on. Welcome all. Apologies for the quick impromptu stream. Just thought I'd jump on tonight and spend a few minutes of your time. Spend a few minutes with me. Spend a few minutes with you. Yes. Before we kick off, we'll start off with the usual pleasantries. Don't forget, press the like button, press the subscription button. If you're new, also please don't forget, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And if you could, please brighten my Northern Star and consider becoming a member on the Grandstream experience. Also, please have a look for links in the description box down below where you can support the platform. And enough with all of that. Thank you very much. We got to do that until we get some sponsors. And start getting on Americano 99 in the house as we jump in. I thought we'd move out because none of the gang are here. We don't have Claire with us anymore, unfortunately. Brian left earlier on after he did the gardening, and he's currently in the process of redecorating the swimming pool area. We should probably attend and have a look at that in the morning. Good evening, Kieran. Good evening, Dom. Francis B. Hans Biemler. Guten Abend. Guten Abend. Yeah, I'd say it's Guten Abend in your time zone. Mein Freund. Colette Dunn, also White Doves. Brian Byrne. Jay Noble. John Francis. Good vid. John Cena, the one and only EJF in the channel there moderating. Thank you for joining me. I eat 5G for breakfast from Rick Sullivan. Katie McKay lets us know that she got arrested for being under the influence of Logos juice. Wow, the Cabin of Solitude. Yes. Might be a little bit echoey in here now because we just had the ceilings revarnished. Brian's been very busy today. Brian's been an absolute legend. I can't fault him on his work. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Lily Gazoo in the house, Doug Tuis, Herbert Ryan, Simon Martin, and Anthony True Contrarian. Yes, let's chill. Let's work this format. Let's spend this time together conversing. I was playing around with OBS and some other stream systems here because what I wanted to do, what I want to ask you is, are you able to play the live chat afterwards in your streams? Now, I know reading through the comment section from this morning's stream, I know that some of the videos aren't there on your recommendation list, but if you have to go physically into the channel, and this morning's stream is there. Thank you, Bungle. Bungle's back at Jeffery and Bungle. Stephen O'Kane. Yeah, okay, Paul O'Neill. I think I've seen a video clip on that. What you're speaking about there on the Gardaí. Again, it's hard to comment, because the video angle was so far away, if you know what I mean. Let us see. Forgot to give out a couple of shout outs yesterday to my old friend Del Boy. All right, Del. Yeah, I believe it was yesterday morning. Forgot to give you a shout out. John Francis asked me to give the missus a shout out from Hungary. Caitlin Mohai. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, John. If you want to throw it in there phonetically. Try to do that phonetically if I'm not pronouncing that. How are you, John Francis, missus? Good evening to you, or good afternoon, whatever it is. Nikki Wright, also in the house from Cyprus. Great to see you. Absolutely great. All the usual heads, all the headbangers in. Yes, I am. We will mention it this one time, and we will not mention it briefly. I have heard of the slanderous conversation that went on. But let's just say we handle that stuff just like Jorge Masvidal. That's the only thing I'll say on that. Elaine Saki mentions, yes, I just watched Amazing Polly. I haven't caught up with any YouTube's videos today. How you doing, Freedom Fighter? Because I was out and about. I know you can't tell under these lights, but I actually did pick up a bit of sun out and about today. The weather was absolutely beautiful here in the Republic of Ireland. I don't know where it is, where you are, denizens, good citizens of the Gran Torino experience. How is it where you are? What new things are happening where you are? Please do share. Pepe Yoda Awake 1, Wide Awake 1. Got to get those pronunciations banged down. Yeah, so like I said, this is just a carefree moment. I want to try out this little video edit here, and I'll link it in the description box as we normally do. But I'll play this just as a video edit, and just listen to this from OAN in relation to, have a cup of coffee here at hand, sorry, into the data information that is coming back to the Trump administration, and some questions that mainstream media are not asking in regards to the lockdown situation in the United States of America as it pertains, and also paying attention to the, as I mentioned this morning, the assassination of a cure rather than a vaccine. We're not really mentioning this possible cure, and a cure that certainly has seemed to be having startling effects on patients, young and old, that are receiving that treatment in combination. Again, not medical advice, but the initial reports coming back seem to be very positive. And indeed, it seems to be a cure. I would posit and wonder why these aren't being questioned or pushed out in a means to containing our situation. And is there any trialing at least continuing going on with the very well-known combination, shall we say, of already some, how should we say, FDA approved as it pertains to the United States? The FDA approved already drugs that have been set and are also in generic form, so are cheap and easy to produce and work in great combination with zinc, all of that jazz. Not even mentioned over here, totally ignored. But we're gonna just listen to OAN. I can't remember this presenter's name. Maybe live chat, when I pop it up there, you can tell me in this young lady's name from OAN. But I want you to listen to the questions that they set out, and we may discuss it afterwards. Chicka bow. It's not muted there. Let's press play. Sorry.
Every politician in this country needs to answer this question about the government-mandated lockdowns. Here we go. If the risk of COVID-19 transmission intra-family is high, and it is, according to German epidemiologist Professor Hendrik Streeck, who found that the risk of contracting COVID-19 is highest among your own family while locked down in your home, but COVID-19 transmission risk via casual contact is low, and it is, according to the Taiwan CDC, who tracked the contacts of 32 infected people and found zero transmission of the virus outside people's homes and family members. And if extreme social distancing, aka government-mandated lockdown, reduces herd immunity, and it does, according to Harvard researchers who say too strict of social distancing could cause a giant second wave of the virus when the extreme measures are relaxed because of low herd immunity. And if the risk of elderly people contracting the virus is higher because of the lockdowns, and it is, according to a New York physician who teaches at an Ivy League institution, because the lockdowns don't stop transmission. They just slow it down temporarily, and therefore, the longer it takes to build herd immunity, the more at-risk people are at risk. And if the projection models were wrong from day one, and they were, and if our hospitals aren't overwhelmed and forced to deny care to COVID patients, and they're not, if the only hospitals shutting down are closing because they don't have any patients, because government officials have prohibited so-called non-essential surgeries and procedures, and if sunlight kills the COVID-19 virus, and it does, according to a new US government study that the Department of Homeland Security says could eventually change public policy, and if the prevalence of COVID-19 in the population is higher than originally assumed, and therefore the infection fatality rate is much lower, and the hospitalization rate is lower too, and it is, according to antibody prevalence studies in Santa Clara, California, that found a 3% incidence rate, which reduces the infection fatality rate to 0.13%, and in LA County, which found a 4.1% incidence rate, which reduces the infection fatality rate to between 0.1 and 0.3%, and in Chelsea, Massachusetts, where tests found 32% of those tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies, and at a New York City maternity ward where 210 asymptomatic pregnant women were tested, and a whopping 13.7% tested positive for the virus, and at a Boston homeless shelter where half the residents tested positive, but only one ended up showing symptoms, not to mention the German, Dutch, and French studies all showing the same thing. And if we know people die from the lockdowns because of the lockdowns, from delayed medical treatment, suicide, starvation, abuse, and economic devastation, then how can politicians imposing the lockdowns on us justify the lockdowns and pretend to care about science? If you care about science and the data, then the lockdowns are insane, and the data shows it. And
that's the final point. So very, very interesting. Very interesting points there. Live chat, over to you. Let me get rid of that there. What do you say to that one? There's make lockdown kills there from John 95. Yeah. That's so true from Gordon Ryan. Looks like cats are getting it now. That's not true. It's not. There's no human to animal. There's no evidence of that, as far as I'm aware. There is human to human. She's like a human Barbie. Come on, no one's flower. What say you? Just by that, just by the mere questioning of that, doesn't really make sense to me. From Rick O'Sullivan, yeah. Indeed. I'm growing my own strawberries from Paul Pugh. That makes sense. It's a very valuable critique. I appreciate that. Common sense, plain and simple from White Doves, yeah. Lockdown kills. So this, by all accounts, is doing us more harm than good. Not only is it murdering, and I say murdering the economy to whatever shape they're going to try and bring us back from the brink. Speaking with a good friend of mine today. How are you? They were speaking to an economist friend of theirs, shall we say, and they said it's already 3 weeks too late for the fiat currency to kind of recover in any way, shape, or form. So the markets are going through a huge transition. But again, we're not being let in. Is the internet of value about to make its appearance? That's why the inevitable delays are going to keep coming till that cashless transaction is brought into place, as money is revoked. Do we envisage a bank run at any way, stage, or form? Are you already being conditioned to getting used to your allocated €400 a week, shall we say, to be rounded off? You know what I mean? Are you divesting, and then are you indeed growing your own produce for yourself and for your immediates? Do you think it'll get that bad? Live chat. Interesting critique there from Paul Hamilton. I'll bring that up there. You can see that in the live chat. And while you're jumping through those questions, live chat, while you're positing your comments here, also back to my earlier question: are you receiving, or are you able to view the live chat if you're watching the videos after the fact? Yeah, John Francis says cashless in the name of hygiene, mandatory vaccine. That's what they're going to tout. As I say, no even mention of the combination of drugs that seems to be profited now as a cure-all, a one-all cure-all, not only for coronavirus flu symptoms, but also for other ailments and underlying conditions. What say you to that? Is there any credence in that, live chat? No, from John Cena. Keith Cookman reckons, yeah, it's going to be very bad. I can understand that. Still waiting on questions, as in from, are you able to view the live chat afterwards? Come on, the hive mind, don't let me down. Kieran Hill says, I'm growing my own cabbage, onion, turnips, and strawberries. Interesting. Great combination. The Ireland pub is the best guide to drinking. Sorry, the live chat is streaming away there. Colette Dunn says, haven't seen live chat this week, but I appreciate that. Thank you. No live chat later. Yeah, so not only are we being censored, now I can appreciate the feedback from StreamYards, and what little contact I'm getting from YouTube is saying that it's the processing, because there's such a huge demand. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is out live streaming at the moment, and the process, as we'd say. Stephen O'Kane says, I can see the live chat after chat. So interesting. Some are and some aren't. Eunice, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe you are who you say you are. Don't think you're going to try and get me to pop that out. Unbelievable. The cheek. But you can remain. But the ban hammer is looking at you, Eunice. Don't be a troll. Yeah, so like I said, I was playing around with some OBS and some other equipment here today, and I wanted to bring the live chat up on the screen and view, and it looks like I'm going to have to go back to OBS. OBS is not that it's overcomplicated. Could not get your stream up from this morning? Alice Clackler lets me know. Yeah, so there is bits and pieces. I see you, Eunice. I see live chat too. Okay, so that's interesting. Some of you are seeing it, some of you are not. I couldn't seem to bring it up on any of my platforms. Also, while we're just shooting the breeze and chewing the fat, I'm going to engage a multi-stream through this format here anyway. Going to broadcast on the Grandstream Facebook page as well. So we're going to reach out to the Facebook subscribers out there as well, because not many of them or any of them are on the YouTube. So we're going to try and increase the Gran Torino family and bring in reports to you. Do I want to touch on these articles here? I want to touch on the Gates thing and like some of these questions that aren't getting asked of Bill Gates and the likes of the global elite. As we know, as we are paying attention. This article here is from 2019 in August. And let's go a little bit dark. Let's go a little bit conspiratorial. There are other avenues of, let me say, to be something of a little long-winded read through, but it regards to Mountbatten. Might do a stream on that, maybe a midday stream on that, see how you feel. What kind of feedback can you do? It was a very interesting article, not only from a very well-known author over here and investigative journalist, she who will not be named for fear of the snowflakes' minds exploding. I appreciate that, Aaron Carty. So look, we might give it a blast out there in regards to the multi-streaming on Facebook as well. Thank you, Zelda. Appreciate that. Like, I'd love to be able to bring the live chat up here and just share the conversation. I might be able to do that now. And again, it's just sharing the screen with the live chat and then having the conversation. And you can see what I see as it goes through. A Lance says the wolf tones a nation once again. Yeah, absolutely. Carol Carr. We might go a little deep dive and back down there. Many of the new subscribers might not have been aware of the history of Mountbatten as it pertains to the Republic of Ireland. Thank you, Zelda. And as the way it's left open, it's long Boston history. And that kind of leads me back to how many of you live chat are watching any of Sean Atwood on YouTube, United Kingdom author, activist, and researcher, Sean Atwood. 1 for yes, 2 for no on the live chat. Let's play around with this little format of ours. Paul Pugh says, now I call them wafers now instead of snowflakes. Absolutely. Dip your biscuits. Where is everybody getting their gravy from these days? The bears in the house still tuning in, as we all are, into the Big Bear from time to time. Yeah, I appreciate that, Vaughn. Mountbatten boy. Yes. Yes. There we go. Bit of a lag there, but it eventually kicks in. Certain amount of twos as well. So it's a mix. It's a hodgepodge. Timothy Blake is a 2. Minion Mindset is a 2. Paul Hamilton is a 2. Some of the usual names there are not aware of Sean Atwood. Sean Atwood is a good channel. And he's got a huge back catalogue now. He absolutely hammering it out. But he is concentrating on all things Epstein, that whole lead into it, how Ghislaine Maxwell is still walking these streets, still protected by her father's old empire, her father being Robert Maxwell, who used to own the Mirror group of newspapers and media in the United Kingdom way back in the day. But it's very interesting that Ghislaine Maxwell is still walking around, and she is so complicit and indeed is a co-conspirator just because Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And whoa, we better be careful of the algorithms by spouting out that name. And that hasn't really gone away. I mean, that's kind of a huge wake up, or a kind of a huge posit to people. Yeah, that is very interesting. How did Jeffrey Epstein die? I mean, did he? Even Lionel mentions it as well. The Attorney General in the United States, William Barr, he even said it, that Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. Do a stream with Spiro Skouras. Oh, Spiro, Paul, yeah. I wonder, are you aware of Nick Spiro? I mean, I'm in email conversation with Nick Xurious. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I must do that. I must reach out to a few people. I haven't thought about Building 7 didn't kill itself either. Very right, Johnny Apocalypse. I haven't sent out. I will be in contact with Stefan. A little bit of a news drop there. Should have probably started off with that as well. Fiona will be joining us tomorrow evening, and we'll be touching back in on her regular interviews now, bringing up to date on her posits and her thoughts on this week's turn of events, not only here in Republic of Ireland. I appreciate that by Jamie Hiller-Rubis. And as you can see, we're getting a little bit of a flicker here, so I don't know if that is lagging or a little bit of a flicker from the camera. And I want to thank my good friend for the replacement of the gimbal. The gimbal was replacement. Yeah, Sean Atwood also covers the McCann stuff and that. So very interesting if you're looking for recommendations to go through and a bit of a back catalogue there, a huge back catalogue. Talks to John Wedger, ex-Metropolitan Police Officer. Talks to Sonia Poolerton. She does many investigations and has done, covered the McCanns, Madeleine McCann and all things in that. He does go right back to the early onset of the scandal with Jimmy Savile and also the Prime Minister, Ted Heath. That's all, still going around in the mash. And that very much ties in with the Rotherham rape gangs as well. How those cover-ups are able and facilitated the hundreds of thousands of young women in the United Kingdom that have had their lives destroyed. And again, mainstream media will not go anywhere near it. Yeah, Nicky Wright Patrol lets us know. John Wedger, an amazing guy. Yeah, absolute sight. Sonia Polton is great there from Carol Carr. Absolutely. Yeah, Brian Bourne, I see your question there as well. We have to wait and see if any indictments fall on charge in one of any of them. Like I know I've mentioned Weekend Warrior to you guys as well. You guys, we don't do that. Weekend Warrior still knocking them out. And that's a huge quick. He's not picking up on anything new at all, GT. Yeah, I understand that as well, Peace Poppy. But I'm talking about for those that are slowly coming aboard and using their lines of inquiry to investigate, not stick with mainstream and are just kind of jumping into all of this as well. I'm very cognizant that we might have some new members jumping in and not really aware of this thing of ours and how we do it. Some days we read news stories and some days we just shoot the breeze. Let me do this article because we've been David Icke as well, 44, yeah. Well, they all have their places and usefulness. Let me drop out here. Let's read this article anyway, just to pass a bit of time, and then we might jump out. And like I said, and as I remind you, don't forget Fiona Marie Flanagan will be joining me tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock, and we'll spend a bit of time going through that. Let's have a quick read through here. Bill Gates is hopping. This, like I said, by Chris Spargo for the dailymail.com back in August 2019. Bill Gates refuses to reveal why he flew on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey Epstein after his prison release. Bill Gates is hopping to ride out the storm 1 week after it was revealed he had hitched a ride on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. The billionaire was the chairman of Microsoft at the time, and he traveled with Epstein on the Lolita Express in 2013, 4 years after the paedophile had served time for soliciting a minor under the age of 18 for sex. Now, they did that because he had paid out the local police force. The sheriff there was in his back pocket, and he spent his time, as we all know, roughly an hour in incarceration, and then was on a bracelet back in his house in Manhattan, I think it was, or was it down in Florida? And he was still receiving children. And I would say children because the court case made it out that they were young prostitutes or soliciting minors for underage sex. It was a complete... And don't forget, Acosta, who was part of President Trump's administration, had wrote a letter for him. In reference. And I remind you of the same sort of dirty, nasty shit that's gone over here with our very own Com Corla. He who has facilitated the 48-49 TDs in the Shannon to push through this law, which John and Gemma are prosecuting. And I hear whispers on the wind that all prosecutions are in a state of stasis while the law is being challenged. Stick that in your back pocket as you travel around day to day here in Republic of Ireland. Because of the challenge to the lockdown law or the quarantine situation here in the Republic of Ireland, the DPP might not be so pressured to press charges, but I digress. Flight records reveal that Gates flew with Epstein from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey to Palm Beach, March 1st, 2013. One of the few flights that year where pilot Larry Visowski recorded the name of a passenger. A representative for Gates has not responded to requests for comment beyond claiming that the once richest man in the world never had any financial or charitable ties to Epstein. And we know that not to be true also. The pairing is all given the work Melinda Gates and the Couples Foundation does for young women around the world. And if you look towards their work in India and Africa, you will find out exactly what that work entailed. And it is known that the two had spent time together previously, most notably at the annual Edge Dinner, which each year welcomes billionaires from around the world to come together and discuss advancements they are working in on the world of maths, science, and technology. And it just goes there to cite the data sound and the flight records of that time. In fact, the 2013 dinner took place just 2 nights before they flew to Florida, though neither of the men are pictured attending this year's event. Epstein did claim he worked as a financial advisor to Gates for some time, but that claim was later shot down by the Microsoft founder's representative. The two men do, however, both own property in southern Florida, where Epstein had 2 homes, including a $12 million Palm Beach mansion, and Gates owns a 5-property compound in Wellington that he purchased for a total of $40 million. In a biography that was published on the website for Edge but later deleted, it is noted that Epstein founded the Jeffrey Epstein Sixth Foundation in 2000 to fund, or the fourth, Jeffrey Epstein the fourth. I'm not up to date. I can't remember my Roman numerology. Quite chilling there. Live chat, throw me out the answer there, just as a point of interest for myself. And support cutting edge science around the world. He is also said to be one of the largest supporters of individual scientists, including theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking and Nobel laureates Gerard Tufte, David Gross, and Frank Wilczek. In an alarming addition, the biography then states that Epstein has taken an active role in supporting education across the United States, as well as philanthropy in the US Virgin Islands, where the foundation is based. And we are all aware of what's currently going on out there, and those that have numerous trusts and accounts and charities in the Virgin Islands, which are free from, I believe, any agreements with the United States for them to monitor any of those sites over there. And I wonder how many of our very own nearest and dearest have their charitable organizations based out there. Again, live chat, anybody aware of who here in the Republic might be organizing or have a charitable organization in the Virgin Islands? Why, I wonder? I ask you, why? Gates was not the only famous name to hop on board Epstein's plane either, with the serial pedophile also welcoming famed newsman Walter Cronkite, architect Peter Marino, and passenger identified as John Roberts. In the 2010, the plane with Roberts traveled from Palm Beach to Oakland, and the following year from Palm Beach to Teterboro. This is in addition to already noted famous guests such as Bill Clinton, Naomi Campbell, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, and the one and only Prince Andrew, he who has still not been questioned by the FBI as a co-conspirator for the Virginia Giuffre, I believe is the pronunciation of her second wife. Absolutely free agent of atoms, absolutely on the money. And Virginia Giuffre has also made note on one of her numerous Instagram posts that she is not suicidal and has no intention of killing herself and is in fine spirit, even though she's in hospital recovering from coronavirus. Just as a point of order, William Dinny there. Yeah, I was going to say there was a great video and a great person you should really catch up. One of the original whistleblowers, one of the actual true heroes in all of this social media, William Binney. A huge whistleblower for all things NSA. We finish off. 2 of Jeffrey Epstein's sex slaves claimed that they engaged in sexual acts with Prince Andrew, one of whom was underage at the time. Virginia Roberts, whose defamation case against Epstein's alleged Madam Ghislaine Maxwell is the source of these unsealed documents, provides a photo of herself with Prince Andrew and Maxwell in the latter's home in one court filing. She was 17 at the time the photo was taken of the 3. The documents were released earlier this month, just moments after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit upheld the decision to make public over 2,000 pages of court filings that had previously been under seal. Those documents reveal in great detail the 3-year period in which Roberts claimed she was Epstein and Maxwell's sex slave. One of the individuals Miss Giuffre was trafficked to was Prince Andrew, trafficking that took place in the defendant's own townhouse townhouse in London, states the filing, which was in response to a motion to dismiss from Maxwell's attorneys. There exists flight logs evidencing Miss Jeffrey's flying to London alongside defendant and Epstein on Epstein's private plane, and a photo of Miss Jeffrey, defendant, and the prince, without defendant ever offering a legal reasonable explanation for the photo being taken or for traveling with a 17-year-old girl overseas. The other female, Joanna Salzburg, alleged that Prince Andrew groped her and Roberts in 2001 while the group was at Epstein's townhouse in a deposition that was released with the unsealed court documents. Salzburg, who was 21 at the time, claims there were multiple eyewitnesses to the incident. I just remember someone suggesting a photo and they told us to go get on the couch. And so Andrew and Virginia sat on the couch and they put the puppet on her lap and Salzburg in a deposition. And so then I sat on Andrew's lap, and I believe on my own volition. And they took the puppet's hands and put it on Virginia's breasts. And so Andrew put his on mine. Robert's attorney, meanwhile, used a photo of a teenager with Prince Andrew and Maxwell to point out that the defendant in that case never explained how they came to be alone in her London townhouse with a teenager from Florida. Defendant never offered an explanation regarding Miss Jeffrey's photographs of her, defendant, and Epstein. She never offered a legal explanation for why Prince Andrew was photographed with his hand around Miss Jeffrey's bare waist while she was a minor child. While posing with defendant inside defendant's house in London, reads the filing submitted by Robert's attorney. This particular photograph corroborates Miss Jeffrey's claims, and there is no other reasonable explanation why an American child should be in the company of adults not her kin in the London house owned by the girlfriend of a now convicted sex offender. Prince Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing, and in a 2015 court application, a judge threw out Roberts' allegation that she had had sex with Prince Andrew and ordered them to be struck from the record as being immaterial and impertinent. Buckingham Palace also issued on the record statements in January 2015 stating any suggestion of impropriety with underage minors is categorically untrue. We beg to differ. That statement went on to note, it is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. The allegations made are false and without foundation. Roberts also revealed two men who did not engage in any sexual acts with Epstein's victims in her own deposition. That was unsealed on Friday, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Roberts said in a 2016 deposition that Trump didn't partake in any sex with us and never flirted with me. She also stated that despite Epstein talking about how the two were friends, she did not recall ever seeing him at the Palm Beach mansion. Robert did, however, confirm that Robert Trump was a good friend of Jeffrey's. A lawyer for Maxwell, Dan, what is the basis for your statement that Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey's? Roberts responded, Jeffrey told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his. Hearsay, conjecture. She then followed up by asking if Roberts had ever seen the two together, at which point she stated that she had never seen the two men interact during her time with Epstein. Trump had been Roberts' boss prior to her 3 years, and she was allegedly trafficked by Epstein around the globe. She stated in court papers, multiple interviews, that Maxwell recruited her while she was working at Mar-a-Lago. Other famous friends that Roberts had said she could included Heidi Klum, Naomi Campbell, in addition to Al Gore. We're nearly at the end there. We're getting through it. We're nearly getting through it. After that was complete, Epstein began to traffic Roberts to his friends, she said. Roberts had spoken publicly about her time with Epstein on a few occasions and stated that by 18 she was deemed too old for the paedophile. A short while later, she managed to escape after allegedly being sent to Thailand for her 19th birthday to take a massage course and told she would be taking back an underage girl. Roberts was allegedly to interview the minor with the goal of taking her back to the United States, but all that changed when she met her now husband. She never returned, and the two went off to start a new life in Australia, where they are now raising their 3 children. She has since devoted her time to combating sex trafficking and the sexual abuse of minors. Live chat, how many of you, another quick poll, are aware or have followed or listened to, indeed, Hotep Jesus? How many of you are aware of Hotep Jesus? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Hotep and Jesus. Jesus, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, and all things, as we say, as we read out these articles, I'm just reporting on these things. It's up for you to do your own investigations and your own research, particularly if you're new to all of this. William Ford is a 2, the Jaxel is 2, Hotep Jesus, yeah. And I only mentioned that. A lot of twos there going, yeah. I think, quite frankly, I'm often speaking about my good friend, quite frankly. He had Hotep Jesus on, again, if I could get any sort of contact with him, I'd love to bring him on as well. He is a very well spoken African American chap, and he talks about the hip hop culture. And that's why I also mentioned No Life Shack, a new YouTube channel that I mentioned. And I talk about barology and talking about lyrical content and lyrical creators. Even like we said, and we mentioned Eminem and stuff like that. But barology, they got words with meaning. They're not mumble rappers and stuff like that. But Hotep will bring you back to the hip hop when it start getting smashed up or start getting watered down by the Cribs and the Bloods and all that kind of stuff as a musical phenomenon. I'm just spitballing because music is such a great medium, and it's a pity to see that the hip hop genre was destroyed by the gangster rap style, the way that blew in, and the songs like Tupac and Biggie and all that, for example. And Hotep breaks it down as how the producers would break in the new talent and what we see from the likes of what's that guy with the multicolored hair that did Time There, just got sent down, 6ix9ine, giving it all of this with the finger signs and the Illuminati stuff and all that jazz. But that whole going along then with Beyonce and Jay-Z and what we're led to believe about Lady Gaga and the rest of them, Marina Abramovich. You guys all paying attention? You guys, live chat, you paying attention to all of that as well? It's only because I said it and keep mentioning live chat or you guys that it keeps popping in. Yeah, Hotep Jesus is a former Catholic who rejects the Eucharist, not for Catholics. Good guy otherwise. I agree, Mark. Not going to a Trance Lance banging out the tune there in Nation once again for the Wolf Tones. Keeps banging it out there. Keep it up. Hip hop was destroyed by the producers. Absolutely. It's the producers and the actors of that producers. But it's the brain rot, and it's the female version of particularly. I'm often given up about it, not only about the lack of content in the lyrics and stuff like that, but it's the constant denigration of women and stuff like that. And that whole culture that has evolved up around it. And again, even playing tit for tat with Luciferianism and Satanism, trying to portray it as being edgy. But as we can see from the likes of James Rudd, Hollywood director and stuff like that, their Instagram accounts were nothing to be laughed at. We're obviously seeing most of that. I haven't seen Amazing Polly. I'll tune in afterwards. The fact, how long are we going? 37 minutes. Again, just throwing that out. Yeah, brainwashing music, Blue Graham. Absolutely agree. But it's changing now. I'm talking about in relation to Machine Gun Kelly and these new rappers that are coming to my attention through my man. It's your guy. It's your man. It's your homie. Finish that, to use a line from him. And also, big shout out to another American YouTuber who I absolutely love is Jericho Green. You got to get over there and check Jericho Green, based out in the United States and California, and speaking about how the government rollouts are there, because I can, and I always keep my thought processes on that Ireland is pretty much like a sanctuary city, and we've got the Democrats, but all the Democrats with no Republicans. Ireland has no opposition. The two sides of the same coin. House of Pain, Cypress Hill, us, John, are big time. Yeah, I love all that. I love Cypress Hill, and I love. I'm after forgetting his new album there, but I'm always banging on it. House of Pain's lead singer. Some of his stuff back there about 5 or 6 years ago. Oh, it's gonna bust me up there not remembering his name. Doesn't matter. And I'm sorry to go off on a musical interlude, but hip hop is something I also like. I also like opera. I like the classics. I like a whole range of different music, but it has to have good content or spiritually moving. Run DMC, nah, not so much there, Blue Graham. Although Run DMC, Democrats, yeah. So we're pretty much like a sanctuary city. That's where we are. We got to get rid of these Democrats out of our politics, both in the United States and everywhere around the world. Everlast, good on you, Hopelhead. Everlast was going to bust me up there if I didn't knock out Everlast. And I want to play that some night. We might have a hip hop night for a bit of crack. People go crazy. 3 Sides Now GT with Swing Fan. Yeah, absolutely. 3-way. They're all in it together. They all espouse NWO, global citizenship. I'm always saying that. No Life Shack #1. Yeah, peace, Poppy. Gangster Grass on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. I'll give that a blast. Definitely give that a blast. Bubble is on the logo, Juice. Good stuff. Okay, live chat. I was gonna read out a little bit of Pierce tonight, just as we're all hanging out in a little bit of a clique and a gang. Not going to be yelling and screaming. Just wanted to touch in and just check in about the idea of getting the live chat up there. I'm going to play around with OBS and a few bits and pieces tomorrow and see if it works just as well. There's also Streamlabs OBS, and it's a little bit I've got to step it up there. I've got to step up the game. Got to try and see if we can bring on new feeds, because I like the idea of having live chat here also on my screen, because I can't seem to have it every time I want to watch or relook or review the broadcasts. Mortified, I'd be absolutely mortified looking back. Do you actually speak like that? Is that what you're saying? What do you think of Shay's Lounge anyway? Beautiful, isn't it? Hello. I think Jose is out the back there doing the gardening. We're quite elevated up here. It's actually at the back of a tree house there. That's actually overlooking the Phoenix Park there. I have a bird's eye view from my perspective here of the president's house. Spiral spread it. Check out P Fandor Films. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're just kind of filling dead air. I will be back in the morning. We will be bright and early first thing in the morning. Do tune in. Do join us. 9 a.m. GMT. Here in the Republic of Ireland. Delighted if you could join us. Please do. I encourage you all. Don't forget, spread and share these on your platforms. A couple of interesting ideas in regards to Liz Wheeler, positing some questions in regards to the statistics being followed. Are we here in Ireland still following the Job Hopkins model? Is the quarantine law currently suspended because it's under challenge from Gemma and John Waters' action in the High Courts? Again, there will be a follow-up, and it's to be heard again next Tuesday, I believe. So mark your calendars for that, one and all, Patriots. Mark your calendars. Nice gaff. Where's Claire with the tea? She was sacked, Blue Graham. You weren't paying. Brian is on the case. Brian, I'm going to give Brian another run out in the morning. Brian Dobson will be joining us on his retirement in his very profitable pension plan. He's decided to do a little bit of gardening and some tea making for us here down in the Grandstream. Okay, I'm sidetracking. I'm going to jump off. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to do a little bit of a roll call? And will we jump off, or will we just call it a night and we'll see you all again in the morning? If you want to knock them out there, I'll read them out and then we'll sign off and say goodbye. Brian, will you lock up on your way out there, yeah? Appreciate that. Who am I shouting at the back? He's this way. Okay, DP and Carlo got sacked. Absolutely. I'm keeping an eye on all things live chat. Good on you. Us, brother. Good for you for A44. The High Courts, episode 2 from John 95. Song. Not tonight. Not feeling the love tonight. A Trance-a-Lance, a Wolf Tones a Nation once again. Definitely banging that tune out. West Cork, Meath Collins County from Liam Fleming. 36 Drogheda from Billy Beers. Good night from Colette, Eamon Thomas. 57 Abu Dhabu from 100 Ecopois. Alice 65 in Mullingar. What's the stories in Kildare? For what died the sons of Roisin? Luke Kelly, 61 Kerry. Great song, yeah. Might give that a crack sometime, actually. Latest GT. See you too, Maria. Take it easy. Cork 42 from Martin Murphy. Sheepdogs, big good night to all. Hopeful Head is 38 in Tipperary. Steve O'Kane, 48, still kicking in Bali. 60 in Port of Vogie from Hound of the Down. New York City from Colin Ahern, 53. Sarah Follen, good night to you. Siobhan and McNean, good night to you too. Also EJF. Mark Connell, 40 in Mead. Kieran Heelan is 44 in Tipperary. Nicky Wright Petru is a good night from Cyprus. Nilpwa, very good. 43, Tullamore from Doug Tuis. E. Fagan, 33 in Tipperary Town. Stephen Maher, Dublin 13, 52. And Nicky F. Wicko, 43. Paul Ryan, 52. Artane, Dublin 5 from Herbert Ryan. And Tigers Bay is 50. I'm a dad for the 5th time. Get in here, you good thing, Tigers Bay. Freelin there. Dunfermline from Stephen Douglas. Fantastic. Blanchardstown from Shamrock, 1966, 53. Good on you. And James, 58 in Belgium. Beware the grabblers. Yeah. Love you too, Maria. Take it easy. Talk to you in the morning. Good afternoon from Alamo, Texas, from Shade Tree Solar. Ihawa from River Queen, and Peace Bobby. The Foggy Jew. Yeah, lots of requests. We'll have a singing session maybe after Fiona, or maybe something over the weekend. But I'm going to crack on. I will see you in the morning, live chat. Just a quick broadcast just to check in with you. Go on off and enjoy your evening, and I'll see you again in the morning. Wuss.